Many of you here probably don't know a huge amount about our Embryo Options platform, our software platform. So I thought I'd just take an opportunity to tell you what that is and how we're looping all of this information together. There's been a few of you I've harassed over the last few months, so a few of you know a few things, but maybe not all of you do. So we've got a billing platform that also helps you with your inventory management. So we're here to make that process a little bit easier. You've all got embryos in storage, and you're all trying to bill out in some way. You're all trying to make sure if patients want to end storage, you're all trying to do that in some way. And that's what we can do to support you. And whilst it's all very new here in the UK and Ireland, and we've been talking to you and taking some of your time to take you through it, actually, this has been established for a really long time in the States. We have over 500,000 patients that we're billing out each year. We've got clinics in Canada, Australia. They haven't let me go there yet, but I have got my hand fully up. We are about to sign clinics in New Zealand, Greece, Spain, and there's a few clinics here in the UK and Ireland that we're speaking to. So whilst it seems very new for you guys, we've been doing this for a really long time and we know a lot about it, so we can help you. So there's just a top-line overview of what the platform wants to support you with. If you're charging your patients for storage, and then they've been there for a really long time, you'd probably like them to pay, and that's something we can help you with. If the patients aren't paying or there's no communication, then you want to understand what you're going to do with those embryos. We can help you with that. If patients don't want to store anymore and you want to support them on what they want to do next, we can help you with that as well. And lastly, when you're looking at your financial analysis, maybe you're looking at financial reports, maybe you're looking at forecasting at what you want to do, we can help you with that as well. And I'll go into it all in a little bit more detail. When we have all of your patients loaded into the Embryo Options platform, the way that we bill out, the consistent touch points that we have, the type of language that we use, the simplicity of patients being able to pay, that all helps in collecting payments. And when we analyze all of the data that we have for those 500,000 patients that you saw, we're able to see a huge increase in the number of patients that we actually bill out for you. So you may have given up billing them. They haven't been in communication with you, and it's something as a clinic you've decided not to pursue. But the way that we load them into the system and we access that, we see that we're able to increase the number of what we call billable patients. So the patients that we send a bill to. We see an increase in the patients paying, and we see a decrease, as you would expect, in accounts receivable. So you're not having your finance team coming to you and saying, what am I going to do with these? Do I have to write this debt off? That's something that we're able to support you with. When patients don't pay and they don't communicate, there's often a reason for that. And we want to be able to alert you to that as quickly as possible. We want to search for those patients with you. It might be something super simple that they've just lost touch with you. People move, they have samples in storage for a really long time and they don't keep that up to date with the clinic. So we want to be able to alert you to that as quickly as possible. So there are ways that we can set criteria within the platform, and that'll tell you when a patient has stopped paying or when they're stopping communicating. And as the lab managers or as the business owners, clinic managers, you can go in there and be alerted to that really, really quickly and decide as a clinic what you want to do with that patient and how you want to take it forward. So what we don't want is tanks full of embryos that nobody really knows what the patient wants to do and they're not billing out. So what the platform's able to do here is it's here to support you. So we want to be able to make you compliant. We want to be able to support that with the compliance. And we want to be able to do that by getting all of your patients into this platform. We want to load them in. If they're historical patients, we want to load them with their storage consent date, when that started, and their storage consent preferred period. If they're new, then we'll pull them in nightly with their freeze dates. If they've got a couple of freeze dates that are close to each other, we can link those together. You can unlink them if that doesn't work for you guys. But we're able to make sure that all of the parameters that have been set are loaded into the platform. And then we do a very simple thing. We automate all of the sending out of those statutory notices. So that's not something you've got to have spreadsheets for or alerts for or ways of remembering when you have to send them, when you have to follow something up, when you have to send the next thing, that happens. I've got a nice overview sheet of how that looks. And then we want to be able to give you a super simple overview. So Anastasia's got somebody in her lab that does all of this cryo billing for her. She's got a super slick system. It's all set up in here in this platform. And she just wants to go in and check on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, where are we with those? I want to see what patients are eligible for disposal, what patients are eligible to have a consent sent out. She doesn't want to go through spreadsheets of data. She wants to have it in a lovely table presented to her, and I'll show you that. The last thing that we want to be able to do is meet individual patient needs. We have the 10 years that they're able to consent to, but not every patient will take you up on the 10 years. It might be 1 or 8, and that's absolutely fine. We can work with that. And should the HFEA change any of the regulations as they go through this process, we're able to support with that as well, because the platform can be adapted. It's incredibly agile. So that's something we can do to support as well. So this is a really nice overview of what's going on with that whole process. So we know that we've got these very definite dates of when the forms have to go out, the statutory notices, what they are, and what that means. So once your patient is loaded into the platform, this just happens. So it is going out all the way through. So once you've sent your first notice out, 1 month in advance of the renewal period, that's great. That can be a customized language. It's got your clinic's logo. It's got whatever you want to say in there. You've got links to your admin team, phone numbers, however you want to adapt it, that's suitable. We can do that with you. And if they choose to consent, that's great. They get in touch with you. You consent through the usual way that you do at the moment. It might be a manual process that you have. You might have some of these guys at the back, Engaged MD, that are working with you all. So, and you just carry on doing that. And then you just get the consent sorted, you load the new consent date and consent storage period into the system, and the clock just starts again. And you don't need to worry about it again until that period is due to be 8 years, 10 years, whatever that is. If the patient doesn't consent or doesn't communicate with you, then it moves naturally forward to the next state and then the next stage. And then, of course, you'll be alerted from the overview dashboard that I'll show you in a moment when you have those that are eligible for disposal, which is quite crucial in this new process. Okay, so how does it look? So you'll have a platform, and this is just a patient that we've loaded up. They've got a full profile here, so everything that you want to see about the patient is there. We're not just talking about HFEA consent in here. You might want to know what their billing looks like, what the activity has been, who's spoken to them, what's gone out. Everything will be stored in here. But this new module has this completely separate part, this individual part, so you can see that incredibly easily. So you can see that we've got a freeze date displayed, we've got a storage consent period displayed, and we've got a really nice overview of what's happening with that patient. And they've currently got an active consent. So if you were, Anastasia, I'm sorry, I've been sat next to you all evening, I'll pick you. You're going in there, you want to have a discussion with that patient, or perhaps they're coming in for a treatment again, but you can see that incredibly easily. We also can expand that so you can see what's going on at every single stage. And this becomes more important, particularly when they're in that HFEA renewal period. So once we enter that, you can see just by clicking in there what's going on. And as they reach through each stage of the process, so that turns green, so you can clearly see where they are. There's some nice little features that you can add into here. So you can see if you're on the phone with them, for example, perhaps they've called in for something and you send out, oh, we didn't receive that consent. I'm sure you have those calls. That's no problem. You can ad hoc just send another one and it'll log that for you. And when they're ready to do the reconsent, because they've sent everything back to you, it's just a click there to add the consent to the form. Super straightforward. I think probably one of the things I like most about this is everything is saved here. I know there's a process in place, and I know that you have everything you need to do the disposals if that's where this ends up. But there must be something in your tummy when you're doing that disposal that just gives you a little bit of the wobbles. So it's always nice, I think, there's something there that you can have a look at. So if you want that last peace of mind that, okay, did all of those statutory notices go out? Was there any communication? Did we call them? Did we send them an extra form? Everything that you need before you do that disposal is there for you. That can be exported, you can send it to your EMR, you can put in a different place wherever you might need it. So you're able to have that peace of mind that everything was done correctly and you have a log of it for your records. The emails are, like I said to you, they're super straightforward. Everything that goes out lands in the inbox. It tells them all about what's going on. It tells them who we are. If you've been working with us previously, they'd have been used to being billed through Embryo Options as it is. So it would not be hugely new for them, but we do a very nice explanation of who we are and why we're working together. So that's the information that we would get, and it's completely bespoke to your clinic. So everything you want us to put in there, then we will. And when you get that overview, the overview dashboard's fabulous. Everything's searchable. You can click on anything that you want to know. It's really, really clever, and the data comes up. But if we just focus on this section here on the HFEA consenting, so as the clinic manager, you're going in, as the lab manager, you're going in and you're looking and thinking, okay, there's six consents there ready for disposal. What's going on with those? Where are we? What time period are we in? Because it's very precise and you have to make sure that they're disposed in a specific period. So that will give you the total overview that you need, and then you know what's going on in each stage of your lab. So that's great. So we've got your billing, we've billed out your patients and they're paying. We've got the statutory notices going out, so we've automated all of that. I mean, you guys, your workload's just halved already, hasn't it? There's happy, smiley embryologists. For some of your patients, the fact that they don't want to pay for their storage anymore is fine, because they don't want to store anymore, and that's absolutely okay. And for many patients, and we've done huge amounts of patient surveys, it's just one of those things. They get the bill through, perhaps it's an annual billing, so they get their annual bill through and they think, oh, okay, we don't need to store. Our children are, we've decided that our family is complete. I must ring the clinic and deal with that tomorrow. But, you know, you're in work, you're on the tube, it's not that easy. The clinic is open 8 till 4. It's not that easy to have that conversation. And it's not a 3-minute conversation that you're having. It's going to take some time. So it just gets put off and put off and put off. So the platform has a patient portal. So if they decide that they don't want to pay anymore for storage, they can go in here and find out what their end of storage options are. So they can look at ending storage through disposal, or if it's applicable for you in your clinic, through donation to another family, through donation to science. All of that's an option for them. Again, we tailor that to what you want it to be, and we can even add things about research projects that you're doing, so you can encourage those discussions. They can actually complete that end of storage through the patient portal as well. So they don't have to come into clinic. Particularly, I think this is relevant for clinics in London. Your patients don't all live in London. They travel from all over. So to come in and fill those end of storage forms in, it is a bit of a pain in the butt, isn't it? Or they've got to get a notary in to do that, to sign that form for them. So we can do that online. So we have a verifiable ID. So it looks at the ID that you've got saved in the patient record, and they can do that from home. And then you come in and you have that end of storage form that's ready to be actioned. So reducing the amount of time that you spend on the phone with them, reducing the number of embryos that are sat, possibly becoming unclaimed because people aren't paying because they know they don't want to store them anymore, but they haven't got round to calling you. So just managing that incredibly easily, making it a much better experience for your patients. And lastly, there'll always be somebody that wants to know financially what's going on within the clinic. So we're able to download financial reports for them. It's incredibly straightforward. They can access many reports themselves. If there's something there that they'd like that we don't have on there, we can build it for them. We can send it out to them monthly. We can help them to forecast and look at what increasing cryo storage charges looks like. We can use the experience that we have from all of the patients that are saved in the database to understand what does it mean when you put the storage fee up by 5% or 10%. When do patients pay without really acknowledging that there's been an increase? When do patients start looking at end of storage options? Because tanks are getting full, your tank rooms are getting very, very full. So you want to, if the team want to look at the difference and how we can help them with that, that's something we can do as well. So we'll help them pay, we'll support their payment. If they don't want to pay, we'll help educate them to look at end of storage. We'll make sure that's all managed for you and that you're in line with the HFEA regulations. And then we can do all sorts of financial analysis to help you decide what you want to do with cryostorage going forward. So when we talk about cryobilling, actually, there's quite a lot to it. It's quite an interesting platform. It would be really great to pick up these conversations with you over the next couple of weeks. So I'm based in the UK, as you can tell from my accent. So if there's anything you need support with, I'm really happy to come out with the sales team and support them with that. So don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.